Jamaica Kane would like to see a rundown of how the offensive line currently looks. And that's what Jamaica Kane in regards to, yes, the offensive line and the two deep in the secondary.
Offensive line, I think you can. I feel very confident from left to right. Marco Bell at left tackle, Matthew McCoy at left guard, James Brockermeyer, the transfer from Alabama and then TCU at center, Anes Cooper at right tackle, Francis Mawinoa at right guard, and then Francis Mawinoa at right tackle. The same starters for 3 years in a row since they started together as true freshmen. I mean, that's your best five. And I know that you're looking and saying, okay, well, who is let the best players play and everything. Unless somebody takes a meteoric rise this spring, I keep talking about my college football dynasty or whatever, right? I had at San Diego State, I had a 5-star athlete who was like a quarterback, projected. He was 6'1", 222 pounds, DeAndre Monday was his name. And came in at like an 82 overall, put him in running back. As a redshirt freshman, he was a 94 overall. I was just like, this kid's going to start for 2 years, be my first natural 99, not including a coach bump, and he's going to leave. Unless somebody takes that kind of a leap, I don't see how you can change the offensive line. Like, you got that 6'8" monster over there. You got Matthew McCoy, who is tackle-sized at 6'6", 315, 320 with a positive wingspan. You got James Brockermeyer, who started 60 games or 50-something games in his college career, coming over at center because S.J. Lofatuli, give him one mango season from Bishop Gorman, let him learn behind the veteran, and then he takes over in 26, starts for 3 or 4 years at center. But he's not there right now. Cool, you plug and play. And then the right side has started together ever since they stepped foot on campus. That's your five. And that might be the best offensive line in the country. I think it's honestly between Miami and Notre Dame, who end up starting the season against each other. But outside of those, I can't off the top of my head, and I was actually thinking about, I heard it on the Cover 3 podcast, and I was thinking about it. I don't think you can come up with a better offensive line than Miami, or unless it's Notre Dame, or Notre Dame unless it's Miami. Those, I think, are far and away your two best offensive lines. So if you have that, you play those guys. Now, who are going to be number 6, 7, and 8, who might have to, come into the game, right? Who is your Jalen Rivers, who can play guard or tackle? Probably Matthew McCoy, maybe a Samson Okunlola. You know what I mean? Excuse me. And there's a couple other guys. SJ Lofatuli is in there. There's a couple other tackles, bouncing around trying to, wiggle their way into things. So we'll see about that. But yeah, I think that first five is really, really elite, arguably the best offensive line in the country. In terms of the two deep at defensive back, if you're going across 5 positions, being corner, slot, safety, I don't know, man. I really think that it's going to take longer because the whole room in the secondary is basically turned over. I know Dylan Day has been showing himself really well early on in camp. Zach Poyser, like I'm saying, Damari Brown coming back from injury. All your transfers, your Ethan O'Connor, your Xavier Lucas looking like that guy at corner. Emmanuel Kernley, that's his name, from Arizona as well. You got, freshmen in there. You got guys coming back. There's so many guys who are trying to developing and earn that playing time. It's too early for that, but especially in the secondary, and especially because of how bad it was last year, best guys play. Do I have my favorites that I would like to see out there? Absolutely. Do I care at the end of the day? No.
When I hear the name Okunlola, or I may have missed an L in there, Okunlola?
Yeah. There you go.
Okunlola.
Yep.
Wasn't he an extremely high recruit?
Yeah, like I said, we had 2 5-stars in that class, Francis Mawinoa and Samson Okunlola in that same class. One of them has been starting for 3 years. One of them has played, I think I maybe undersold it, maybe like 150 snaps in his career. One of these things is not like the other. So, this is a time where we really need to see that, especially because I think Markel Bell only had 2 years to play too. So like, I'm pretty sure that he's leaving. And if he plays to the potential he flashed last year, a 6'8", 345-pound offensive tackle, like he's going in the top 3 rounds of next year's NFL draft. Bang, Francis Mauigoa, bang. And I saw a picture of him going through the workouts, the off season before, with the catapult tracking little strap vest or whatever. It took me a minute. I was like, who is that? And I saw someone in the comments was like, oh no, that's Okunlola. It's like, or sorry, that's Mauigoa. And I said, yo, what? Like, he looks like prime Panay Sewell. I mean, and I know that's been the comparison, but Mauigoa has been just a little bit bigger, a little bit bulkier and everything, but like and I'm like, I know he plays for my Detroit Lions, but arguably for the last couple of years, he's Panay Sewell's been the best lineman in the entire NFL, and you're starting to get Mauigoa looking like that as well. Hey man, so we need to see that he is a tank, and Pancake Honcho was Okunlola's nickname coming out of high school. I need to see some of that at this level.
And as soon as you were running down the offensive line, and then you went to who's going to fill out 6, 7, and 8, it led me to this thought. I would love, and maybe it's out there somewhere, but I think I would have come across it, someone to do an exhaustive look at injuries and how many injuries can be expected per team. Like, look at all the starting quarterbacks in college football, take out players being benched for poor play, and how many, what is the average number of starts that are either fulfilled or missed by a starting quarterback? Offensive line, because when you say 6, 7, and 8, I think, that was my follow-up question. Basically, the coaches in a realistic situation, how far off the bench or onto the bench do they want to be comfortable? And that sounds like that's the number, 6, 7, 8, that you can reasonably want to feel comfortable about, like 3 guys coming off the bench because of injuries in meaningful games against big opponents.
Yeah, that is interesting. I actually, as you were talking about that, looked it up, and I'm going to put it in the chat. There is a study that I saw from 2022 about college football injuries overviews. So I was just perusing that. I'm going to leave that up and look. I threw in the chat for everybody. So that is, I don't know what the scope of that was. It was just one season or anything, but yeah, people are looking at that. But in general, I think the general consensus is you want to have a full 2 deep, obviously, but you really need to have 8. And it really is the same as a basketball team, because if you're going to the playoffs, like a championship basketball team, you need your starting 5, you need a shooter off the bench, you need a secondary offensive initiator, point guard, whomever, and like another big right off because you're probably, depending on what you're doing, 1 or 2 of those guys might cross-train, but you really need 8. You're not going to play 10, 11, 12 in the playoffs. Like, the rotation gets short, 7, maybe 8, maybe 9 if there's foul trouble. That's really the same kind of a thing with an offensive line. You want your best 5 out there as much as possible, probably for injury, 1 or 2. You really want a second tackle, a swing tackle who can play either side, an interior lineman who can probably fill all 3, and then another guy who can, fit in there. So yeah, you really on the offensive line want to have 8. If you feel like fourth quarter against Notre Dame at home, you can play them and it's not the biggest liability in the world, right? That's where you want to be. If you have more than that, then yeah, you're skating on easy street.
All right, folks. Consider. Go ahead.
No, sorry. There was another one. Jamaica Kane and somebody else also asked about this. Do you think we'll be able or need to react to the fact we did not get the legacy O lineman? Also hearing where we might miss out on the Pickett kid. Hope it's not true. Yeah. So Grant Wise, or Ty Wise. One's Grant, one's Ty.
I think it's Grant. that went to
Clemson? So Ty Wise played at Miami. His father, Grant Wise, committed just recently to Clemson. I saw. I must have missed that or was doing something else. But he's a blue chip player who is a legacy. So, that's why I saw those mocking tweets the other day. Okay, I get it. I saw some people like saying, basically, if you're a Miami legacy, come to Miami or, pretend you have a Jamaican accent. And then they played this, they included this video or whatever, and some other commentary. So that's okay. The circle of knowledge is complete. Do you want to get a blue chip lineman from the state of Florida that you're going after? Yes. Do you want a legacy player like the Wise kid? Absolutely. Is it the end of the world? Absolutely not, because we're going after so many guys, both near and far, along the offensive line. This is one of the focal point positions of this recruiting class in general, because, again, that class with Okunlola and Mawinoa and Anez Cooper, probably the biggest success story from a kid who was like 6'5", 370, 80 pounds playing tackle in Alabama, and even though and local teams didn't even recruit him, comes down here, loses 40 or 50 pounds, slides to guard, and could be a top 3-round draft pick now, has been starting for going on 3 years. That class are now upperclassmen, so you need to get that next wave, and Miami is really looking hard and strong to get that in this class. So hey, you're going to take L's on the trail. Guys are going to go other places. We got to keep it moving, and that's why we're looking at so many different blue chip linemen in here. Cannon Pickett, DJ Pickett's cousin from Tampa. I think he goes to Berkeley Prep or one of those other schools out in Tampa. We'll see, man. I mean, he's probably a guy that we're looking at who plays tackle in high school to move inside to guard. If he wants to play tackle here, I mean, look, we're looking at Jackson Cantwell, the number 1 player in America, and then we already have Ben Congdon, who's 6'7", 6'8". So, and I mean, also Jackson Cantwell is 6'7.5". So if you're looking we're recruiting these monsters at tackle, if you're a 6'4" tackle with average arm length, kick inside, but boy, that is what it is. But if you want to play outside, I get where you're like, am I at the top of their list? And we, Kenny Pepe from IMG Academy, another, 6'6" dude with long arms that we're recruiting a tackle. There's a lot of dudes, man. So, especially when you need 4 or 5 in a class, you're going to recruit 18, 20 dudes and just let it fall where it may. So I'm not really broken up about it. But hopefully we get the guys that we need. And I think that, the staff is doing a good job prioritizing who they want and need. And especially along the offensive line, they have my implicit trust. You know what I mean? You get Markel Bell. You get, Jalen Rivers was the previous staff. Matthew McCoy developed. S.J. Olobatuli, top 3 inside offensive line prospect last class. Samson Okunlola was a 5-star. Francis Mawinoa was a 5-star. I've already waxed poetic about Anez Cooper. What are we talking about, guys? This is not a thing where I have a question about their evaluation of offensive line. Now, I've been very vocal about my questions about evaluations and takes in some other positions. Offensive line with Mirabal and Cristobal,